country. I feel a strong freedom here. This is my first time to Suriname and my first time to Pikin Slee. One of my missions coming to Suriname was to come to this space. So it's just divine that we're sleeping in the same space on the same night.
Yes.
You know? And yeah, we give thanks that the spirits brought our journeys to intersect for whatever reason. That's why I even wanted to meet you. You know? And you have good vibrations. You have good vibrations. I'm not really big on politics and all this kind of thing, but I feel people spirit, you know? And I feel like you have a good spirit. Yeah. Yeah, no, there's no real. So no. Can I speak openly?
Yes.
All right.
Feel free.
All right. Recently, GanJah was decriminalized in Jamaica. I'm sure you've been following everything. One of my missions moving around the world is to create a space where people can overstand Rastafari beyond the red, gold, and green, beyond the GanJah, beyond the ital liberty, beyond even our language. Understand the reason and the root for Rastafari. Pikin Slee is a very great example of how and why Rastafari came about. To live self-sustainably, to live independent of any kind of systematic laws. I know you're president, and so you're trying to make everyone feel a collective unity with one vision. And I respect that. I respect you taking the time to move across, you know. One of our visions as the Rastafari community is to see this plant brought back to the glory in which she deserves to be. Really and truly. Because we know that the reason why GanJah was made illegal in the world in the first place was never because they were afraid it would hurt people or make people crazy. GanJah was the first way that the black man in the diasporas was able to make money. After slavery was abolished in the late 1800s, Indians were brought in. And when the Indians came in, they came in with the GanJah seed. And they were the ones who were paid minimum wage while on the plantations. I'm just giving you a quick history of Rastafari in Jamaica. A man named Leonar Howell, who is hailed as the founder of the Rastafari movement. He was a friend of Marcus Garvey. He got deported to Jamaica and he bought 500 acres of land, a place called Pinnacle. He started to move across the plantations and tell people that we no longer had to subscribe to the colonial way of life. We were free. Let us move from the city into the mountains and seek our identity. And that's exactly what we did. So the reason why Rastafari evolved was because we were Africans in the West seeking an identity outside of colonialism. One of the ways that we were able to empower our community to grow was through farming agriculture and farming the GanJah and selling it back to the Indians. Now, this was our first encounter with this plant because it is not in our African history very much. It was the Indians who really showed us certain things about even eating vegetarian. GanJah never came in to hurt anybody. GanJah was always used within the context of nation building and spirituality. We farmed much GanJah in our early days and sold it to the Indians, and this is how we were able to make money to send our children to school, to build our schools, a lot of these things. Forward to today, I'm talking about the 1940s. This is like 80 years ago. It's the same thing today. If it wasn't for the GanJah plant, many of us as ex-slaves caught in the West, Africans caught in the West, would not be able to send our children to school. And it's as simple as that. Once the world continues to deny GanJah for exploitation purposes, they continue to lead a genocide. If you think about how many lives have been lost because of GanJah, So that is just a word sound to you to help to put Rastafari in a greater context. We're not just trying to rebel just because there is reason, you know. You have any questions?
Oh no, I follow it very clearly, so no problem. And what I learned from my friends in Jamaica and also in there is using the GanJah is also for health reasons. For instance, you have some, I don't know, what's the English word of it?
You have migraine,
migraine,
pressure, tension.
yes.
Yeah.
And also if you're problems with what we call glaucoma.
Yeah, glaucoma.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you use that,
Relaxing.
relax, yes.
Okay, look up it's eerste kliniek.
Ja,
eerste kliniek.
oh ja?
Ja, op Namibia. Amidra Petro.
Oh, bosa ni ma.
Ja, op eerste kliniek. Uno ori lang at simpa.
Ik ben in Suriname. Geboren. Ik heb 21 jaar in het. I lived 21 years in the West, in Amsterdam. My work was learning everything about marijuana in a positive way. How to make medicine, how to treat people, what are the purposes of the plant. The reason I came back home after 21 years is because the West is looking at South America. The Americans and the Dutch. The Dutch are already in Colombia, Peru, Chile, trying to convince the government to legalize marijuana, while they come into the country and exploit it. There's an economist in this country who's fighting for that 3 years already. I met him, I forgot his name, but he said the president won't sign and give him the license.
What's his name, Mr.
Het is een econoom, hij is een paar keer in de krant geweest, hij heeft een paar keer persconferenties
En hij
geweest.
werkt?
Dat is weer.
Ja,
Dat is weer.
Ja. Ik heb hem, I met him personally. I wanted to back him in his mission, but then I found out that he wants to do the same as all the other European countries in the West. He has connections with Canadian, who are the #1 in the world, producing hemp to make clothes, houses, this industrial hemp. And that's the reason he's fighting it. So I spoke to him and said, I would like to join with you and legalize the plant in its total. And why bring in Canadians? Well, we as a people, some of us living abroad came back like me, have the knowledge how to work with this plant. So I would like our government, if that point comes, not to work with somebody like that, because it's a lot of money for our own country that's going to leave. And I'm willing to put myself in with the people I work and their erkende mensen over de hele wereld, Americans, Dutch, that are willing to back me if that point comes, to keep that little treasure that we have in our own hands and do not let the West come in and corrupt us, because marijuana is the #1 economy in the world right now. And the reason the West legalized it is because they didn't have the knowledge. We had the knowledge. And the moment now they have the knowledge, they control it. That's why the United States legalized marijuana. And what we are afraid of is we as the original cultivators of marijuana, Rastafarian, I'm not talking about black, white, we as Rastafarian who originally cultivated marijuana. If this goes on, we're going to end up with nothing again. And that's the main thing that I came back to fight for in Suriname. Because there are a lot of people that are willing to help us to educate our nation how to deal with this plant. Medicinal way, recreatief, medicinaal, and industrial. Those are the 3 things. And this plant is good for 144 things. And we just need to educate our people here and keep that little treasure for ourselves. That's all I have to say.
Well, we had this discussion with Mr. Word, and of course, you mentioned it, or 2 years ago, we had this discussion. Probably in the coming administration, it could be possible because other friends also in the States, they use the oil, for instance, to cure cancer. So, and of course, in some states it's legalized, but in other not. You know how they play this kind of game. But the way we didn't legalize it is because of the perception that our people had, and they bring it into connection with the drugs. That's what we call the hard drugs. Yeah. So, but nowadays we think that more people of Suriname, also people with in a higher standard, they know that it's beneficial. Yes, for instance, the lady who is the chair of the National Assembly, because her son he was in several countries for health reasons because of his cancer, and we organized it too because we are friends in Jamaica to bring the oil here in Suriname. Because the doctor advised us if we have the possibility to bring it here, it will help him with his cancer. And thank to God we yes. So I think things are moving, not as quick as we want, but as I mentioned before, probably the coming administration it will be possible. Because also a lot of our doctors know that it's a big business now.
The community, the Rastafari community is also willing to help with the rebranding of the image of marijuana. There are lots of things that we can do. I mean, right now, something as simple as leading a tour through the police stations to start to open up the space to talk about GanJah. Open it up for questions and for comments. The same thing for school spaces. Just like how you would market a brand new product, it's basically the same kind of thing we have to do for marijuana at this point. Because the truth is, it saves lives.
That's right.
Literally, and we would be backward if we don't prepare ourselves for the direction in which the world is moving. Just because of ego and because of something we used to think. All of our grandmothers used to boil GanJah tea for us when we had a belly ache. Let's let go of the things they told us now and try to find a way to come back to who we are. Truly.